Okay, so this is a downloaded database of different sales transactions. And what we'd like to do is color in the rows. In other words, maybe fill them with a background color, what have you, where the row has seafood for the category. All right, so in essence, I want all the rows that have seafood, okay, as a item there. We want that whole row then to become colored in. Now, we learned earlier in the previous videos where we could actually select this area and then tell it to find a name, and whatever that name is, we can color that in. I mean, let me just show you real quick here. You could have done something like this. I'll just do a few so you can see this. You'd select that, you'd go to conditional formatting, highlight cells, you go to where it says text that contains, and you say, okay, there's seafood, fine, I'll keep it red, hit OK, and there you go. But what I want to do here is not only color in that, but also the entire row, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and just kill that off. All right, so how do we do this? Well, first of all, we have to select the entire worksheet in the area that we want to possibly have it colored in. So I'll click on to A3, Control Shift right arrow key, and then Control Shift down arrow key. We only have 75,000 rows there, so that's a really good shortcut for selecting. All right, so here's how it works. We're going to go back into conditional formatting. We're going to go down here to New Rule, and then use a formula. Now, we need to set up a formula that's going to act as a criteria to target those particular cells, and thus that entire row that we've got selected with the coloring, or whatever kind of formatting we do. So we go over here to this spot right here. The formula is going to be equal, and we're going to type in $, the letter H, and 3. Now, why we did that is that the H3 represents the first cell that would have something in it. It doesn't necessarily have to have seafood in this case, but just anything, all right? Because you never know. Later on, something might change and that might become seafood or whatever. But the point is that you'd click on or reference the first cell in that column that we're looking up on. So we're basically saying we're starting with H3, it equals, okay? So we put equal in there, and then in quotation marks, we put in there seafood. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase, as long as you spell it right. And it has to be surrounded by quotation marks, because anytime that you do a formula, all formulas that contain any type of text, that text has to be surrounded by quotation marks. So that's what you're seeing there. The dollar symbol, in essence, makes it so where the entire row will be colored in versus just, in this case, maybe H3 or H8 and so forth. Okay, so that's what that's for. So now we'll go over here to Format. We'll go to the Fill. We'll find a color. Maybe we'll go with blue. Maybe even go with a border at the top and at the bottom. So we're going to just put a border right there. Hit OK. And then hit OK. And there we go. And that's it. Looks pretty good. So that's not bad. Now, let me just show you one more with this. And that would be, instead of maybe referencing text, maybe referencing a number. So let's say that we want to do a new one of these where if the value is over 20,000, we want that cell along with the entire row to be formatted the same way. All right. Now, what we can do is we can salvage what we already put in there, or what I'll do is I'll just go back to the conditional formatting, clear rules, and say clear rules from entire sheet, wipes the whole thing out. All right, so we'll start all over again. So we're going to click at the first cell there, Control Shift right arrow key, down arrow key, and then I'm just going to go ahead and elevator back up to the top there. All right, I don't have to do that. I'm just doing that to get my bearings here. All right, now conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, and now the formula here is going to be starting with column I. So it's going to be equal dollar symbol I3 is greater than 20,000. That's it. No quotation marks because that's a number and that's okay. So we'll go back to format. We'll go to our outline here, or the border here. We'll put the border at the top and bottom, and we'll fill this one up with maybe yellow. Okay, we'll go with that. Hit OK on that. Hit OK again, and there we go. So now later on, if for some reason we find out that this should have been 22,000, it'll automatically update. So pretty cool. So hopefully this will come in handy for what you're doing with your own work. I appreciate you watching the video.